Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's your boy, Nolan Hawkeye Anthony here, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic week, wherever you may be, and of course, however you may be listening. I got a sweet show for y'all today. We are going to finally be taking a look at four-star Iowa commit Aaron Graves and evaluating the tape, providing an analysis of what Iowa will be getting in this massive defensive end, potentially defensive tackle. I believe he also plays on the offensive line. But before we get into any of that, I want to mention going to 247hawkeye.com. And I really do hope you guys consider hitting that subscribe button. It really means a lot when you guys do that. We're trying to get 2,000 subscribers, which would be huge for this channel. But if you don't feel I've earned your subscribe, at the very least, comment, like, and share. I try and comment back to everybody's comments because at the end of the day, this is an Iowa sports community, and that is what matters most. And without further ado, let's get into this. So here's Aaron Graves' Rivals profile. I will be showing every recruiting profile available. This dude was the first Iowa commitment. He committed, man, I want to say back in 2000. Let's actually take a look. Let's see if there is a commit date. He committed all the way back in 2019. And I remember this. This was a huge get. Iowa was obviously having a pretty good season. And it was a nice early commitment for the Iowa Hawkeyes. There isn't a ton of schools we can see that are interested in Aaron Graves, or that we can see are interested in Aaron Graves. Obviously, a ton of schools are interested in him. But again, because he has been committed to the Hawkeyes for so long and very adamantly committed, there just aren't any schools to report. Aaron is from Gowrie, Iowa, which is, I don't believe I've been there, but I think it's 30 minutes to an hour outside of Fort Dodge, where a lot of my family is from. So that's pretty cool. And Aaron has been one of the highest rated recruits Iowa has had in the Kirk Ferentz era. He's 5.9 according to Rivals, and he is ranked as number 130. His rankings have kind of been like this, and this. Especially with 247 Sports, we can see here he is now considered the 100th best player purely by 247 Sports with a grade of a 94. But he's actually the third best player in the state way back when he was number one. But as is the case in recruiting, a lot of times guys who are highly ranked early in their careers and decide to pick a school early in their high school careers, they kind of fall off the recruiting map and kind of lower down the recruiting rankings. But at one time, he was the number one player in the state of Iowa. He is a top 100 player. And either way, that is a good get for the Iowa Hawkeyes. One thing that stands out to me, and we're going to get right into the analysis as there's not really other schools to take a look at. One thing that pops off the screen is, number one, his frame. He's 6'5.5", almost 6'6", and he is already 260 pounds. And if we look at some of the photos here, the dude is built. I mean, he is, like I said, he has an excellent frame at 6'6". It's obvious he spends a lot of time in the weight room. One thing you find with a lot of guys, especially at this level, is they still kind of have their kid muscles or the kid fat, as my college coaches would call it. We got to get rid of the kid fat. And you don't really see that. I mean, he looks like a grown man. He really does. He is absolutely massive. I do think, before looking at his highlight tapes, I do think it is possible for him to play on the offensive line. I think he will be going to Iowa as a defensive end, maybe a defensive tackle, because it's just in general, it is hard to find someone as talented as this. One thing that pops out here is the lower half. I mean, he's built like a tree. I mean, he really is. The dude is thick, thick, thick. Look at that neck. Look at that neck. This is a Division I athlete here, folks. I don't know what else to say. This is a Division I athlete. If you're ever curious about what a Division I athlete looks like, look no further than Aaron Graves. Let's read this quick article before we check out the highlight tapes and give a little eval. From small town Iowa to the biggest stage, Hawkeye defensive line commit Aaron Graves has proven that he can compete with some of the nation's best. On Wednesday, 247 Sports released the latest rankings update for the 2022 recruiting class. The 6'5", 260-pounder has vaulted all the way up to the number 100 overall prospect with a 94 rating by 247. And here is the analysis right here. Interesting prospect because he can play offense or defensive line at an equally high level. It would be interesting to see if he was seen purely as an offensive lineman, what he would be ranked at. My guess is he would at the very least be a high 3-star offensive lineman. He can project to either side of the ball in college. 247 Sports Midwest recruiting analyst Alan True previously wrote, has size and a college-ready build. As I said, it's absolutely true. Plays with outstanding motor and play speed on both sides of the ball, explosive, and can be violent with his hands. Also an outstanding wrestler, and that shows up with his strength and ability to use leverage. Iowa, one thing the University of Iowa loves is recruiting multi-sport athletes. And if there's one piece of advice I could give to any parents out there that have kids playing sports is to have them play multiple sports. It really helps. I am not a big believer in only playing one sport and basically specifically training for one sport. All these other sports really do help in creating an outstanding athlete. Anyways, my 2 cents there. Which position he ultimately plays is a question, and he has dominated his competition, but it would have been nice to see him go more against kids of his ability, but his package of skills and the way he plays makes him a likely college standout and potential Sunday guy. By the way, here is his ESPN grade. So Rivals has him graded as the number 130 player, 4-star. 247 Sports has him as the 100th best player and a 4-star. And ESPN has him as the 102nd best player, and a 4-star and the number 1 player in the state of Iowa, which is certainly interesting. And last but not least, his player comp is Braden Smith. I'm going to grade him to former Iowa players because that's just easier for me to do, whoever Braden Smith is. And he is a projected 2nd through 3rd round player. This is huge. I'm glad I came across this. His measurables are 6'5", 270. He runs a 4.92. If he could get that to a 4.8, a high 4.7, that would be excellent. He has a 31-inch vertical leap, which I'm sure he can improve to at least 34, 35. But 31 at his age, at his size, is really spectacular. It does show some pop in the legs, and he has a bench of 335 and a squat of 465. Just a man-child, a straight-up man-child. All right, guys, here are the highlights. Let's have a watch of this immediately. This dude is the biggest guy on the field. I believe he plays class 2A. I think that is what Gowrie is class 2A. Wow, he gets off the edge fast. Wow, let's check that again. Let's go back because I kind of missed a little bit. Man, he's just a man amongst boys. And he's a man child, guys. He's a freak. Look at this. Whipping out, getting out. He just drilled that poor kid, just drilled him into the dirt. And but that's good to see. He's a nasty player. And especially on the defensive line, you need to be it. Yeah, I particularly like that play right there. Man, that's twice in a row. He just blasted, boom, blasted. And then he's going to blast. See right there? Boom, blasted him. And then this one, he gets off the edge so fast and violently. Man, it's very impressive. Very impressive. By the way, a side note, I love the defensive line commits that Iowa has this year and have a chance of still getting. There's still a few targets they're in particular one guy that if Kelvin Bell could secure would be excellent. I mean, it really, really would. I will be doing a analysis video on Caden Crawford. I'm excited to check his highlights out and see what that's all about. Let's see what kind of hands Aaron has here. That wasn't Aaron. He gets off the edge violently. Let's pause this here real quick, just for 1 second. The guy that I am comparing Aaron to is AJ Epenesa, okay? They're both 6'5", 6'6". I would say AJ had longer arms, and I noticed this at the beginning. Also, AJ went to a bigger high school. Edwardsville is one of the biggest high schools in Illinois, so the competition level is higher. He also did not commit to Iowa as early as Aaron did. Basically, Aaron went to one camp at Iowa, didn't go to any other camps, and that was it. You know, outside of highlights, no other schools are aware of this kid. AJ Epenesa went to a bunch of camps, so a lot of coaches were able to see him. The thing that I immediately have seen, and this is more of a positive towards Aaron Graves, is physically, Aaron is much more muscular at this point in time than AJ Epenesa. And I'm going to pull up a side-by-side comparison. And the reason I bring that up is because I believe that Aaron is the best recruit in the state of Iowa. And he has been for a very long time. I think Aaron is probably a top 50 prospect, but because of the smaller school he goes to, he's simply, and being committed so early, he is simply overlooked. So this is AJ Epenesa in high school. Here is a picture of him in in the NFL. I'm going to pull it up here. That is a picture of him in the NFL. In my opinion, what he looks like there is more similar to what Aaron looks like now than this picture right here. Very young, very young. Now, obviously, this is just a headshot. But again, just the kid fat, the baby fat still there. You can still see it there. He never really got super jacked at Iowa because his ability was just so phenomenal. But again, still looks, obviously he's a 5-star player. I mean, it's not like, you know, he looks like a twig. Okay. He's still massive. But again, in my opinion here, Aaron looks closer to that. These are some younger shots here, but just look at how thick his muscles are here. Okay. And I say all this to say that he is probably underrated. Honestly, I fully believe that. He is absolutely jacked. Now, a question college coaches ask themselves is, How much room is there for improvement for a guy like him once he gets to college? That's why a lot of coaches, or this was one of the criticisms with recruiting players from Texas, is because once you got a player from Texas, they were basically what they were is what they would always be. There was no ceiling for them to get to. Anyways, my point is, I think Aaron is probably underrated. All right, let's get back to the highlights. Even if you don't think he's underrated, last point, even if you don't think he is underrated, if you look at the side-by-side comparison to AJ Epenesa, you could say, well, if that's a 5-star, then at the very least, Aaron Graves has a 5-star physique, okay? He's 6'5", 270, and very thick, okay? Oh, my gosh. This dude is... he's a man-child. He really is. He is just getting pancakes all over the field, We're going to watch about 30 more seconds of this. He's dominant, guys. Very, very dominant. Iowa, this is a testament to how good Iowa is at evaluating players. They saw how good Aaron would be when he was a freshman or 8th grader in high school, okay, and decided to offer him. They felt so confident about their evaluation that they went ahead and offered him. Man, he is just blowing people up. Yeah, if he could get his 40 up to about a 4.8, high 4.7, that would be excellent. Do some speed work once he gets to Iowa. Little bit of speed work, as they say. And once he's able to focus all his time and energy into being the best possible athlete he can be for football, the sky's the limit, folks. The sky is the limit. I mean, this guy is blowing people up all over the field. And the point I would make to these high school analysts who, they do a pretty good job. They're okay. I don't want to, gripe on them too much, is the difference between, a bigger school and a smaller school as far as talent level goes at the high school level. It really is not that significant. Is there a difference? Sure. But is it so significant to where you go, man, I can't rate him this high because he goes to a small school? Who knows? No, this dude would be doing this exact same thing whether he was playing Des Moines Valley, Dowling Catholic, Southeast Polk. It doesn't matter. It really does not matter. It just doesn't. It really doesn't. I remember in high school, my school would be the equivalent of class 4A. Whitney High School in Rockland, California would be the equivalent of a class 3A in Iowa. Now, my school had 2,000 kids, which would be a class 4A school in Iowa. But when we played smaller schools, sometimes, especially in basketball, sometimes there really was no difference. There really wasn't. A good team is a good team is a good team. It just is what it is. All right, guys, that is the end of the junior highlights. It would be interesting to see his senior highlights. And that is an important thing to keep in mind, is that these aren't even his senior highlights. This is still him as a junior. I think he's probably better than number 100 in the country. I would definitely have him rated in the top 75. I think it is painfully obvious that he has a top 75 frame. I mean, what other high school kids look like this? They don't. He has a top 75 frame. His athleticism is incredible. It really is. Could it improve? Sure. His strength is great. He plays multiple sports. Everything is just positive. It's all positive. The reason he is lower is simply because he goes to a smaller school. It will be interesting to see what position he ends up with at Iowa. I can see the case for both the offense and the defensive line. I really can, but ultimately there's two questions a school like Iowa needs to ask themselves. And it's simple. Number one, what's best for the player? And then number two, what's best for Iowa? And not in any particular order, I suppose you asked that. I would probably play him on the defensive line just because of how important it is so hard to find a guy this good off the edge. It really is. Okay. And I would probably keep him there. But I could also see him moving to the offensive line. You guys saw how good he moved especially with Iowa doing a lot of what Gowrie does with the kickouts in the zone run scheme. Iowa requires their offensive linemen to be athletic laterally. So we will see. We will definitely see. I would love to see his highlights eventually if they're in the U.S. Army All-American game, if there is one this year because of the COOF. I really hope that there is one. It would be nice to see. We've seen in the past Iowa commits that play in the U.S. Army All-American game dominate. They do great because Iowa knows how to evaluate. He is by far the most talented recruit that I have evaluated for the Iowa Hawkeyes. That's not really surprising to me. And Iowa definitely got a good one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do hope you guys consider hitting that subscribe button. It really means a lot when you guys do that. But if you don't think I've earned it, or you just don't want to move your finger over to the subscribe button, at the very least, comment. Like I said, I try to get to every comment I can and interact with all of you, as this is a Iowa Hawkeye community. And last but not least, DBAT, don't be a pussy willow. And facts are feelings, so your feelings don't matter. Love y'all. Go Hawks. Bye.